Here's a little story that must be told. Here's a little story that must be told. Here's a little story that must be told. Here's a little story. Here's a little story. Here's a little story that must be told.
Then it goes a little something. Goes a little something. Goes a little something like this. Something like this.
Here's a little story. Here's a little story. Here's a little story that must be told.
Then it goes a little something like this. Then it goes a little something like this.
Yes, yes, yes. What's happening, good people of the internet? Hang on, let me just put my headphones on so I can make sure it's all sounding crisp, as they say. Yeah, how you doing out there, people? I hope this finds you well and safe, considering all the craziness that's been going on. The world is still under lockdown. The pandemic has got everyone shook, but they've relaxed a couple of the rules. They're letting people go out shopping again. All the fast food joints have opened up again. Big up to everyone that's locking on. Shout out to the whole Soapbox team. We are live right now on the Soapbox Instagram, as well as delivering a more personal experience to anyone that wanted to join in with the Zoom. It's not too late. If you hit up the DMs on Soapbox Islington, ask them for a link, and then you will be able to see... You just have a better view of what's going on. You can see both turntables, and I can screen share my laptop to show you what's going on. And today that's going to be very important, because the idea of today's seminar is really just to talk about the transition from analog DJing using vinyl and CDJs to, I guess just the digital side of DJing, using software such as Serato, using stuff like, whether it's Tractor, Serato, whatever you're using. Record Box is a very popular option nowadays as well. So really, I just wanted to get into it, break down the fundamentals, things you need to know, little tips and tricks, how to get the most out of your Serato, how to make sure it's correctly set up depending on what you're using. All those little things like that, you know what I'm saying? So we kick things off with a little intro scratch there. Nice little joint called the Beach Volley Club by Sadtoy. Is it Sadtoy? I can't even pronounce that. But shout out to the whole Chill Hop collective. Chill Hop Records, man. They put out some wicked music. And a lot of it is free if you go to their Bandcamp page. So check out chillhoprecords.com. Now, once again, I just want to send a shout out to Soapbox Islington. If you don't know about Soapbox, it's a cutting edge youth centre. Isn't even the word. We call it an innovation centre because it's a place for young people to come and allow their ideas to flourish into reality. And we cover all kinds of different subject matter in the spot. I come from a music background, obviously DJing. We do music production as well as providing space for bands to record and rehearse, but we also do a huge amount of tech stuff. We've got virtual reality, games designs, coding, AR, all of that. So with the isolation in effect, with the lockdown in effect, we decided to offer a whole schedule of workshops and seminars that you can take part in online, hence what we're doing right here. So if you've missed any of them, we're going to be collecting up all the videos and we're going to be putting them online via our brand new YouTube page. Now, this is where it gets a little bit, I don't like to beg, you know what I'm saying? But look, anyone out there who's a creator, anyone who's run a YouTube channel knows the struggle is real when it comes to dealing with YouTube and the algorithm. Like, subscribe, comment, all of that, right? Now, look, it makes a difference. It really does. And I wish it wasn't that way. But for starters, if we want to have a custom URL and I want it to be youtube.com/soapbox online, we need to have at least 100 subscribers to make that happen. And we're falling a little bit short at the moment. So I would very much appreciate it if you would go onto YouTube, search for Soapbox Online. It will be abundantly clear which channel is ours. You'll see the Soapbox logo on there. There's already some videos up there, some of the previous seminars that I've delivered, as well as other content from our other tutors. We've got an amazing set of videos coming up from my man Lucas Lane. Shout out to Lucas. He's a whiz when it comes to taking things apart and fixing them. So we've got a whole range of videos called I Fix It, where he basically shows you how to fix broken iPhones, broken PlayStations, take your computer apart, get in there and fix it. And these are all skills that are important to know. And it's important to remember that you can actually do these things. You know, we've kind of got, you know, growing up, for me, I used to love taking things apart and just figuring out how they work. And if I could try and fix them myself, I would. And we've kind of lost that now. A lot of people, they don't really have, it's not necessarily the courage, but I'd say the confidence to get in there and take something apart and, you know, try and fix it themselves. More often than not, they'll throw it away, buy a new one, or they'll send it out to get repaired. It doesn't need to be like that. Trust me, there is a lot of stuff that you can do yourself. So I strongly recommend you check them out. That's Lucas Lane with his I Fix It videos. And then, of course, every Wednesday night we host Soapbox Live right there on the Soapbox Instagram page. That's at Soapbox Islington. And it is what it says. It's Soapbox Live. Now, this is something that we used to do at the venue as often as we could, in that we would get artists to come and showcase their material, whether that's musicians, singers, poetry, whatever. Soapbox Live, come down, share your material, and it's, you know, it's in that safe environment. Like, no one's judging you, you know. Like, sometimes you need to make mistakes to learn how to do things right, you know. Big up to who's that? Is that They P Collective? Am I getting that right? Shout out to you anyway. Big up to STX. Oh my God, you got to have easier names, man. Or it could just be my eyesight. New Mugger Music. All right, look, let's just say one love to everyone out there on the Instagram right now joining us. But going back to what I was saying about the live event on a Wednesday night, the idea is it's a non-confrontational, safe space for you to come and try out your material. Like, people make mistakes in life, right? And to pretend that we don't is a lie. We're lying to ourselves and we're lying to everyone else. But that's how you learn. That's how you get better at stuff. Like I'm big into my science. I really enjoy physics, and a common concept that you will find in the scientific method is, you know, the process of experimentation, the process of trying out new ways of doing things, is to almost figure out, am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? And the chances are you're not going to get it right straight away, but by learning that there are wrong ways to do things, that's a valuable lesson which you can carry forward into so many aspects of day-to-day life. And what I'm really getting at is, one thing that we encourage most of all with what we do at Soapbox and just youth work in general is that it's good to try new things, you know. And you know, you might find that you're not really into it. You might find that you don't really enjoy it. But the opposite is just as true. You might find that you realize you've got this skill that you didn't know you had. Or you might find yourself getting involved in something that you'd never tried before. But all of a sudden, you're like, wow, this is me. I love this. Oh, shout out to Henry Walker. I see you, Henry. Man, Henry, I miss you, bro. I can't wait for us to have more sessions together. And once again, shout out to the whole Soapbox team. You know, big up to Nick, Ivana, the Michaels, Jamil, Lucas, everyone down there putting in work. When it comes to what we do, like I say, we've got a whole host of stuff that we encourage everyone to try. And we've tried to bring that experience to what we're offering online now. So if you visit our website, soapboxislington.com. I wish I knew the correct answer to that. Every week this happens. What's the website? Google Soapbox Islington, you'll find us. Yeah, my apologies, Soapbox. But If you look on the Instagram, that's at Soapbox Islington, and our website also has the full schedule of everything we're doing. But we've also partnered up with a few organisations, and least, but one of my favourite ones of all I work with on the regular. In fact, I'm doing another session with them later on tonight. Is the Young Urban Arts Foundation, UF as we call them for short. Shout out to Kerry, Ella, Nat, Debs, everyone over there at UF putting in work. The UF is more music focused than. Where we cover quite a wide array of subjects, like I say, the music, the podcasting, that's a big part of it, music production, DJing, but we also offer all the tech side of stuff. UF is more focused on, like they're called the Young Urban Arts Foundation, so urban arts, music, poetry, rap, DJing, dance, all of that. It's all covered. So, check out the websites, check out their Instagram profiles, stay up to date. At UF Official, at Soapbox Islington, and if there's something that tickles your fancy, holler at us. Get involved, get directly involved if you want to, or you can be a silent observer. Shout out to anyone that's just out there watching. But I strongly encourage that you try things, and one of the best things that can come of it is that if you find something that you really enjoy and you're actually good at it, well, then there is absolutely full potential that you can carry that forward into your life and make a career of it. There's a time-old saying that if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. And I'm a living example of that phrase. Yeah, I get to make a living DJing, playing music, jamming, editing, making beats, making videos, just all that creative outlet has become a revenue stream for me, and that's what I want for you guys out there. So, whether or not you're a DJ or not, I think there are certain things that you can carry over in all aspects of life. I say it time and time again, when it comes to any job that you're doing, do a good job, be reliable, and you will never want for work. So that's that. Let's crack on because time is always against us. Where are we at? It's 12 minutes past 4, and we are taking you up till 5 o'clock today. Like I said, opened up the show with a little. Opened up the seminar with a little scratch there. Had a little beat rolling on this one. Had some samples rolling on this one. Now over the last 6-7 weeks, we've covered a lot of ground. I've broken down all of the equipment, how it works, turntables, mixer, the faders, the EQs, filters, special effects. But today, there was something that I was hoping to do, but I never had a chance to sort it out. Serato have just launched a new plugin for their software, which is essentially their own version of a DAW. When I mean DAW, I don't mean a door that you open as in DOOR, I mean DAW, which is a digital audio workspace. Have I got that right? Anyway, what I mean by DAW is something like Logic or Ableton or, FL Studio. Any kind of music production software that allows you to edit and make beats. Serato have launched their own one. And I thought it was available as an upgrade for Serato. If you're a paid up member, I thought you get it for free. Turns out you've actually got to pay a little bit extra to get it. And I've just had a mad busy week. I haven't had a chance to sort that out. But this isn't over. We're going to keep doing these seminars. And in fact, over the next few weeks, we're going to get a little bit more in depth with a little bit more complicated stuff, a bit more, so far we've been taking it kind of easy. I've been walking you through this, but now that you should have a good foundation level of some knowledge, we'll step it up. I want to get into scratching techniques, more advanced mixing techniques, and we will definitely get into the deeper side of what that new Serato update will do. In the meantime, for today's session, really, I just want to talk about Serato as a software and how to get the most out of it, how to use it properly. Like I say, calibrating, setting it up. And we'll have a little mix along the way. I'll show you some tricks. Once again, shout out to everyone that's logged on. If you've got any questions, stick them on the Instagram. I'll try my best to keep up with them. If you've got any specific equipment, at the moment I'm using turntables and a mixer. This is the traditional setup, but I understand that more and more nowadays the go-to rig is either CDJs or a controller. But look, as I keep saying constantly, the fundamentals are the same. If you can use one of them, you can use all of them. Now there are restrictions to what you are able to do depending on what setup you've got, but for the most part we're talking minor differences. And I've always maintained that as a DJ, if you're a good DJ, and this is true of whatever you do, yeah, it's not the tools, it's the person using them. You know, if you ain't got no skills, it's easy to complain about the equipment and say, oh, this ain't working, or this ain't the sort of turntables I'm used to, or I normally play on this, that, and the other. That to me is just, it sounds like an excuse for not being any good. You know, I see a lot of, back in the day, especially DJs taking their own mixers to gigs. You know, I'm like, what's that? Like, why would you do that? Why are you walking around with thousands of pounds worth of equipment, taking them to gigs? You know, I hope you got insurance. Yeah, and a lot of these dudes don't. Actually, that's a good tip right there. Let me stop right there. If you are taking equipment out to gigs, whether you are a musician, you might be carrying around a keyboard or a guitar, or it might even just be a microphone, like your favorite mic. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, especially these days, you know, with the COVID, you don't want to be sharing mics. You know, you don't know what's on there, right? So a lot of people, they want to use their own microphones and things like that. I strongly encourage that you look into getting insurance, because it's like one of those things, man. You know, you wish you didn't have to pay for it. You wish you didn't need it. But if it ever comes to a point where you do need it, you are grateful that you had it, right? Yeah, many occasions I've been grateful that I've had mobile phone insurance when my phone has, you know, dropped and cracked, or it's been stolen or whatever. Boom, I've got a replacement. I use a company called DJ Guard, G-U-A-R-D, Guard. They basically, you tell them what equipment they've got, and they will give you a reasonable rate to cover them insurance-wise, you know. So there's other ones out there. That's just the one that I happen to use. But I strongly recommend, if you are traveling with equipment, get it insured, you know. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I don't want to take equipment to a gig if I can help it, you know. I am well over the days of lugging around stacks and stacks of equipment, whether it's decks or mixers or records. You know, ideally, I would like to just turn up with my laptop, plug in, boom, you're off. And now, depending on what you're using to DJ, it can be even less complicated than that. The Pioneer, who make this mixer, they are also the daddies of CDJs, and I've got a fairly old model CDJ here. Now, they are numbered as they come out. It's heavy. That's a CDJ 800, right? It's quite an old model now. This is well over 10 years old. In fact, it's probably about 15 years old. But they've continued to refine the design and include more and more features, but they're essentially the same. So instead of having, you know, a spinning platter on a turntable, they have this digital jog wheel platter, right? And it's not plugged in, so you can't see it, but there'll be a digital readout on here and lots of information in the window up here. But Pioneer have also started getting into DJ software. They've got their own proprietary software called Record Box, spelt with a K, R-E-K-O-R-D box. And what that allows you to do, most of these CDJs have USB slots on them now. And because they're Ethernet connected, you can connect one deck to the other deck, stick a USB in on one, and both are connected, and you can access the music off of both. So that's taking it to an even another level. Like, you're not even having to take your laptop to a gig. You're literally walking around with a USB stick, you know. Look, there's a USB stick right there. You know what I mean? Look, this is, what size is this? That's 32 gig. So it's not massive, right? But that's plenty enough for like one set. And what Record Box allows you to do, much like I've shown in Serato in the past, is that there is an app that is built into the decks, but there is also some software that you can install on your computer so that you can do all the prep work ahead of time. You can analyze the audio, you can put in cue point markers, things like that, organize your music so that you're prepared. You know, like the digital equivalent of digging through the crates and preparing your set, you know? But anyway, look, that's Record Box, and to be honest, I've never really gotten that much into it. I don't use it a lot because it doesn't really suit my style of DJing, and to be honest, I've never had a need for it, really, is the honest truth. And when I started to DJ, it was just analog, just vinyl. And then as the technology developed, you know, CDJs were all good. The reason I bought that CDJ in the first place was back in the day, you know, if you wanted to scratch up your own samples, then that was the way to do it, because you couldn't do it on vinyl. So, you know, you could use some audio editing software to either record an MC or dig out samples and then program them onto a CD, burn that CD, use the CDJ. Now, you know, when Serato dropped, this was a game changer. You know, I can't tell you how excited I was. Now, there were predecessors to Serato, there was a bit of software called Final Scratch, and I think there were a couple of other ones out there. And it took them a little while, to get through the teething problems of just one of the biggest issues with Final Scratch when they first dropped. It was all right if all you were going to do was just mix, as long as you weren't manipulating the turntable too much, you could hit start and play the tune and you'd be all right for the most part. But as soon as you started moving it backwards and forwards, there would be a lag issue between the time-coded signal on the vinyl to the laptop interpreting it, and inevitably there would be a drift in the audio, and it made it really hard to use, especially for what we call turntablism, where you're constantly touching the decks and constantly moving them backwards and forwards. As the software got better and better, Final Scratch kind of went out of business, but they got bought up and absorbed by what is now Traktor, in conjunction with Native Instruments. But Serato is made by a company called Rain. So Serato is their own company, but Rain make their hardware. Now, Rain made their name as a manufacturer of mixers, American company, and they were one of the first companies to really take on the idea of eliminating all the extra kit you needed. If you saw one of my previous videos, I showed you the box that I would initially use to connect my laptop to the mixer. It's essentially like a little sound card with audio inputs and audio outputs. The decks would connect to that first, and then out of that into whatever mixer you're using. Now, that was all good. It got us by for many years, but like everything, they were constantly refining it. When they first brought it out, when they first brought it out, the software was called Serato Scratch Live. To put the focus on, now you can actually scratch with it. There's no latency issues, and over the years, there's been many iterations of the software. They've constantly refined it and made it better and better. They've made new versions of those boxes, which are basically just upgrades on the sound card. They offer higher sample rates and better sound quality, all little things like that. And eventually it got to the point where, so that first initial box was called the SL1. Now they're up to the SL4. Just a quick thing on the differences. The SL2 was essentially the same as the SL1 in its connectivity, but it just had an improved circuitry in it, so it was better sound quality. The SL3 was a jump up from that in terms of sound quality, and also had a couple of little extra functionality options on the box. And then the SL4 is basically the same as the SL3, but instead of just having 2 decks connected to it, you can have 4 decks connected to it. So they've come on leaps and bounds in their hardware, but the DJ community in general has fully embraced the digital revolution, I feel like, in that all the manufacturers have cottoned on to, being able to integrate your mixer with whatever digital option you've got running at the moment. Now, I'm using the Pioneer Djm S9. This is a beautiful mixer. There are plenty of options out there, but I will say this much about Pioneer. Pioneer have been making not just DJ equipment, but audio equipment for a very long time. I'm talking about home stereo systems. I'm talking about car stereo systems like big subwoofers and amplifiers and head units. And, so they've been in the game for a long, long time. And when it comes to DJing equipment, I guarantee you, more often than not, if you go to a bar or a club or a venue to DJ and you're using the house equipment, it's probably going to be Pioneer equipment, both in the mixer and the CDJs. Some places have got other stuff, but that's rare. I find most people that, buy alternative makes, it's for themselves at home. It might be a budget issue, but also I think it just makes life easier when you know what to expect. If you know there's going to be a particular style of mixer, then, boom, you're just in, you're comfortable, you can crack on. But what I'm getting at is, I'd say the main competitor when it comes to Serato mixers is probably Rain at the moment. Rain make an equivalent to this mixer called the 72. The Rain 72, they're just getting ready to drop a new version of it. But I'll be honest with you, like, to look at it, there's not much difference. But I'm quite a stickler for audio quality. I can hear the difference. And I think Pioneer just have a better understanding of how to get good sound quality because they've been doing it for so long. And, that boils down to the years of experience, the components inside, down to every little detail. What kind of circuit boards, what kind of soldering, what kind of cables. All of those little things make a difference. Yeah. Now, Rain, don't get me wrong, they make a quality product. But I feel like when I'm using the Rain mixer, I can almost hear that it's digital. Whereas Pioneer, it just has a warmer sound to it. You know, even if you're using digital DJing, the Pioneer still sounds crisp. You know, so I'm a big fan of Pioneer. No hate for Rain. I've got mad love for Rain. You know, in the chip shop we've got a Rain 72. I use it all the time. But yeah, personal choice. I go for Pioneer all day. Now the difference between the Pioneer and the difference between this mixer and the traditional Serato setup is I don't need any third-party or external hardware to connect all this up. Like I said, originally you would have a box that your deck's connected to first, and then that box connected to your mixer. It's a lot of cables. It's a lot of failure points. It's a lot of things that can go wrong, right? What we do here, this mixer is everything is fully integrated into it, right? And one USB cable connects straight to my laptop, and I am off and running. Now, when I mean literally everything is connected to it, I really like the functionality in this mixer. Little things you might have seen when DJs are out playing, they've got their laptop in front of them and they're reaching up and they're pressing buttons and they're doing stuff. Like, I really don't like that. Like, for one, I don't like the laptop blocking my view, and I don't want the view of me to be blocked. I want to be able to have a connection with my audience. I don't want to be poking my head around the side of the laptop and or over the top. I want a good clear view. So I like my laptop to be off to the side, like it is here. And old habits die hard. I do find myself going back to the mixer, like to the laptop, and doing stuff, but I don't really need to. Everything is on the mixer. Now, what I mean by that is that there's these knobs in the top corner here which allow me to scroll through my library of music. If you're looking at my shared screen right now on the Zoom, you can see what I'm doing. I've got my virtual crates. I can roll through my crates, and let's say, okay, I want to go to my hip-hop crate. Click on that, and it opens up what's in my hip-hop, and I can scroll through it. The only thing that you can't do from the mixer, really, is type a search. If there's something in particular that you want to look for, you can click on the search window, type in what you're looking for, crack on, you're all good. But other than that, just loading up music, creating loops, effects, EQing, cue points, loops, all of that I can do directly from the mixer. So props to Pioneer, man. This mixer is excellent. So let's get into some music. So now, one of the great things about Serato is they're constantly evolving the software. They're always improving it, adding updates, and in the most recent... Oh, actually, before I get into it, there are different versions of the software. Be aware of that. A lot of equipment, if you buy some equipment that has got Serato enabled capabilities or integrated capabilities, you, by default, get Serato for free. You get the full version of Serato. And... you create an account on the Serato website, you can download the app, you can download updates, you can download plugins, extras, all of that. Now, depending on what bit of kit you get, you either get what they call Serato DJ Pro or Serato DJ Lite. Lite and Pro are very similar in the way they work, but they are, as you can imagine, the Lite version is missing a lot of the functionality that Pro has. So I'm using Pro today. That's what I'm going to be talking about. If you've got any specific questions, as I said, hit me up in the messages, and we'll try and address those. But first thing I wanted to show you, now it's going to be difficult if you're on the Instagram, but you'll get what I'm saying just from context, right? In that if I disconnect the USB from my laptop so that it's just in standalone mode, right? Everything shuts down. You see all the lights go off on the mixer there. But something interesting happens with the software, he says, and it seems to... Okay, now, hang on, let me put the mic on the stand so I can use both hands. 1 second. So, okay, I'm going to bring this over to the camera so you can see. This is what they call offline mode, right? I've got the screen share going on, but what I was going to get at with this, hang on. Let's protect my mixer. I don't want to break any of the buttons or the fader. I'll pop that on top of there so you can see. Now, what this allows you to do is... if you've only got Scratch Live or if you've only got Scratch Lite or Serato DJ Lite, I don't know if this function will work, right? But certainly in Serato DJ Pro, you've basically got a offline DJ mode, right? What I mean by that is, even though this isn't connected to any equipment, you still have your left and right options on as a turntable. Normally there'd be the turntable icon here being read by the signal being sent to it either by the vinyl or phase I'm using today. But this is fully internal mode, right? So there's a play button here. You can hit your cue buttons here. So if I... No, hang on a minute. You can't hear it. Oh, okay. Because it's not connected to anything, of course, the audio is coming from the laptop. So, yeah, you can all your functionality is there. You've got loops, you've got cue points. If you don't know what I mean by cue points are essentially I've pre-selected certain moments in the track where I want to be able to jump to quickly. Now, this is a what we call a battle weapon. So I've got a load of pre-arranged audio samples that are just scratch sounds or little breaks or beats, you know. So. Now here's something that's quite helpful. On the keyboard, on your QWERTY keyboard, keys 1 to 5 correlate to the first 5 cue points that you have predetermined on your track, right? So 1 to 5 on the left deck, and then 6 to 0 on the right deck. So you can use those to quickly jump to a cue point. You've got a play button on either track, and again, if you're looking at the screen share, it's easier to see this, but the left and right turntable, so to speak, have, like on the mixer, you've got a volume fader, so you can adjust how loud it is up and down, but then you've also got a crossfader, so you can go from left to right, and I believe you can set the sensitivity of that crossfader. I've not actually used it much myself, but the great thing about this is that you can literally DJ offline. You know, if you want to practice your set or plan your set, if you're not doing anything too complicated, or you just want to put in the foundation work first so that when you are connected to some equipment, you're ready, you're good to go. So let's try a little something. Let's load up a track that's got no cue points already in it. Yeah, we'll go for this one. Okay. So this is a track called Cancao by The Breed. Nice little chill out number. Now, I'm just going to press play so we can have a little preview of it. There's got to be a way I can hang on. I want you to be able to hear what I'm doing. 1 second. Let me find another cable. 1 second. Going old school with a phono to jack. Let's plug that in there. Auxiliary level. Let's see. Can we hear anything? There we go. Now we're cooking. Okay, so I've still got loaded on the right deck that battle weapon I was using with all the scratch sounds on it. I'm going to eject that right there. Eject. But we've got this new track loaded up on deck 1. Let's turn this around a little bit so you can move over a bit. Instagram people, I strongly suggest you get on the Zoom. You know what I mean? If you get the links, then you can see what I'm doing on the laptop. It's much easier. But at the moment, look, as you can see, well, I've got 8 potential cue points, and none of them have been taken. They are fully assignable, right? So let's start the track. Let's see how it sounds where it starts, and we'll pick out some cue points. Nice little chill out number. Chill Out Records once again. This is from their Essential Summer 2020 collection. Alright, I've already identified a few points. First point I want to put a marker on is going to be where it started with that nice little guitar, right? So let's... There. So let me pull that back. Now, if you can see my screen, you can see there is the equivalent of what the needle is in terms of where it is on the track. That's this white line here. And as the audio crosses that white line, that's what you're hearing right now. So at the moment, there's nothing there. But if I can either assign a cue point by clicking on this empty box here, or because it relates to key number 1, if I just press number 1, boom, now I've got my first cue point added at 3 seconds in, and they've colored it red for me. So now I feel like I've put that a little bit too late. So look, there's a little red cross next to it. If you want to remove a cue point, just hit that cross. I'm going to put it back just a fraction. There we go. Let's do that again. All right, nice. Now then, as the track keeps going, I want one just before the beat drops in. There's like a boom, boom. I want to get a couple of little dropping points. So this bit. So if I pull that back, really what I want is that snare there. So I'm going to put number 2 on that one. And then the first initial kick where the beat actually drops, the 1, remember that from our mixing, that's going to be my next cue point. So they're almost the fundamentals. There's always like a first cue point, a dropping cue point, and then a drop cue point kind of thing, you know what I mean? So now, the way it's set up, by the way, if I hold down a key from one of the cue points, it will play it from that cue point, but as soon as I let go of the key, it stops. Start and stop is space. Oh, now here's a question. Actually, I'm not even sure how to... Now, start and stop is normally space when there's only one deck playing, right? But what happens if I've got another track loaded up on the other deck? How do I start and stop that one? Ah, enter. Yeah, that's it. I knew it. Right, so I've got my cue points laid in. I've already analysed the audio. If you don't know what analysing the audio is, I covered that in one of my previous sessions. It's where you load the music into Serato and there is a analyze files function just above your playlist, and that only works in offline mode. If you've got it connected to any kind of hardware like a controller, or if I had it connected to this mixer, I wouldn't be able to analyze the files. So when it's disconnected, you can set it up to analyze the audio, and what that does is it gives you a lot of critical information about the track. First, it builds a picture of the WAV, but then it also auto-detects the BPM, beats per minute. That's really important when you're mixing. It will determine the bit rate of the track. But also, I've spoken about this before, where there is a function to kind of normalize the audio, or to... you basically pick a audio level that you want everything to be playing at, and it will anything that you throw in there to analyze it, it will bring to that level. I.e., if I set like 0 dB as my normalization peak, if it goes over 0 dB, the analyzer will pull it down. If it's way too quiet, the analyzer will pull it up, so that everything is playing within reason, there or thereabouts, at the same audio level. That's really handy, especially just saves time so that you can focus on the mixing, because also just music isn't made at the same volume. It depends who the producer is, depends if it's been mixed, if it's been mastered. All of these little things make a difference, and you know, you can compensate for that difference in audio on the mixer using the gains or the EQs or the levels. And really, that's what you had to do back in the day when you were working with just vinyl. You know, all vinyl wasn't pressed the same. Some vinyl sounded really loud and crisp and clear and banged out. Other vinyl was real muddy, depending on how much they crammed in onto it. For example, on an album, you've got just as much audio crammed into one side of... you've got the same amount of space to cram more audio in. And as you can imagine, if you're putting an album's worth of audio onto vinyl, there is a loss in sound quality. Albums generally are a lot quieter than a single. And, you know, if you were DJing out in clubs or anywhere like that, really you wanted the single. You didn't want to be DJing off of vinyl, off of the album, because the signal just wasn't loud enough. It wasn't punchy enough. Whereas when the groove is cut out on a single, there's more room literally physically on the vinyl to cut a deeper groove to get more fidelity on the sound, whereas, when you're squeezing it in, you're having to make a shallower cut. All of that makes a difference to the sound quality. Now, of course, as I say, with digital stuff, those are problems of a bygone era. We've got a whole new set of problems nowadays, And look, here's a little tip when it comes to Serato. If you are using Serato to DJ, know what equipment is at the other end. Now, what I mean by that is, I've got a Pioneer Djm S9 here at home, but, one of my regular residencies was the chip shop in Brixton, and they use the Rain 72. But then there's other clubs that may use a different mixer yet. So I've got a go bag with all my essential stuff that I might need when I'm DJing out. So that bag will contain my laptop, chargers, headphones, needles, a whole array of spare cables, controller CD, controller vinyl, my phase, and the Serato box, So if I turned up at a venue and I wasn't too familiar with the mixer, option number one was always hook in the Serato box, because I know that Serato box jives with my Serato software. Now, saying that, Serato DJ Pro doesn't work with the Serato box that I've got. This is the more modern version of the software. I've still got installed on my computer an older version of the software. In fact, if I close Serato Pro down, I'll open up the old version so you can see the difference. Now, fundamentally, they look almost identical. But what really does separate them is its functionality. They change the color scheme somewhat, but whichever one you're using, any changes that you make actually carry over. What I mean by that is if I create a playlist in Scratch Live and then I open up Serato DJ, they're both there. You can see them both, right? So that's very helpful. Now, okay, I'm going to open up Scratch Live. Now, Scratch Live, because it's old school, it doesn't work with this mixer. It doesn't work with a lot of modern kit, right? I can connect any of the boxes to it, the SL1, 2, 3, 4. And so, look, if anyone's looking at the screen now with the screen share, instantly you can see there's quite a few differences, actually. Now, first and foremost, Serato DJ offers you, like I say, the offline DJing mode. Scratch Live doesn't offer you that. It's literally just an offline mode for previewing your tracks and preparing them. You can still add your cue points. You can still create loops. You can analyze your files. It takes a little minute to start up, actually, Scratch Live. And I'm forever playing the battle of, should I update the software on my computer? And if I do it, will that make my Serato software stop working? That happens a lot. What I'm really getting at here is, whatever version of Serato you're using, if you're not taking your own equipment, or you don't know what equipment that's the point. Know what equipment they've got at the venue where you're going to play. Because what you might find you need to do in order to get your laptop to connect to that bit of equipment, you may need to install certain drivers or update your software. And depending on, which manufacturer it is and what it is you're trying to connect, that can be an easy process, or it can be a difficult process. Now, most times, because I try and keep my software up to date, I'm constantly checking for updates on the Serato website. They're good about letting you know. They will email you. Quite often, if there's an update going on, they'll do beta testing and allow users to just try out the new version of the software. And then once they finally drop it, you'll get an email saying there's a new version. Go download it. You're going to need it. Here's what we've changed. Mac are constantly updating their operating systems, whether it's Catalina, Mojave, whatever one you're running. I try and hold off on updating my laptop, just because I've seen in the past that the new updates don't jive well with the old software. That was a real issue when I went to use Phase, because I had put off updating my laptop for so long that it was too old to actually run the Phase, and I had to do an update to enable the functionality of Phase. Now, of course, before I did that, here's another important tip. Considering the amount of work that goes into creating and curating your music collection, putting all the cue points in, putting loops in, back up your computer, right? I can't stress it enough. I've been at a gig where someone spilt a pint of water. Luckily, it was just water. I say luckily, the laptop still died, whether it was beer or water or Coke or vodka, whatever it is. Someone spilt a stack of water on the laptop, and like luckily, it was mad. Like I turned the laptop upside down, there was water dripping out of it, but it managed to last long enough for me to finish the performance we were doing. But then, boom, it was dead. And that goes back to what I was saying about insurance. But because I had insurance, I got a replacement Mac, and because I backed up my Mac, nothing was lost. As soon as I got my new Mac has a really useful backup tool called Time Machine, whereby it creates backups of your computer, but at different points in time. You can either set it like a scheduled every now and then upload it every now and then back it up. I try and do mine at least once a week. I've got a little external hard drive here. Hang on. I don't want to unplug it because I don't want it's doing something at the moment. But you know what I mean by an external hard drive. So when you create a Time Machine backup, what it does is it creates certain points in time to which you can go back to, right? So let's say I'm plugging it. I've got a new laptop replacing my old one. I can plug in my Time Machine backup off the hard drive, and the computer, much like when you're setting up your new phone. If you've got an old phone, you can import all the old settings to basically clone your old phone onto the new phone. Same thing applies with your laptop. So when you open up Time Machine, the laptop, when you're setting it up, it will say, look, Time Machine backup detected. What do you want to do? Do you want to check, like, make this computer like your laptop from the last backup, which was yesterday? Or you might say, you know what, make it like it was a week ago. Like within Time Machine, there'll be backups. They'll be like, there's your latest one. There's the one from yesterday. There's the one from the day before. And you can pick. That's why they call it the Time Machine. Such a useful tool. I can't stress that enough, But always be aware of the capacity of your computer versus the capacity of your hard drive that you are backing up to. I've got a terabyte. Is it 1 terabyte or is it 2 terabytes? Hang on, we can find out. There's the about. I'm pretty sure it's just 1 terabyte in this one. About this Mac. There we go. Storage. Yeah, look, you can see actually if you're looking at my screen, I'm down to like my last 100 gig of a terabyte hard drive, and it's a constant battle I'm playing. Like, well, I'm always trying to keep my files organized, and you want to allow yourself about 10% free space to allow your computer to work efficiently. Yeah. So I'm always having to delete stuff and whatnot, but you want your backup drive to be bigger than your computer drive, so you've got room to work. This is a terabyte. I've got a 4 terabyte drive over there. There's different options. You don't need to do that. A single terabyte hard drive probably would have done the job, but like I say, I like to allow myself a bit of room to maneuver. So even 2 terabytes would probably be ample. But backups and insurance. Now, anyway, back to what we were talking about. Scratch Live, as I say, one of the main differences between Scratch Live and Serato DJ. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Sorry, beg your pardon. Let me get back into Zoom and screen share. There we go. Sorry, David, I see you out there watching, and you're probably like, I can't see anything. There we go. Look, so now I've got my Scratch Live screen shared, and if you going back to what I was talking about with the first video, with Serato DJ Pro versus Scratch Live. In Serato DJ Pro, you can DJ offline. It gives you a virtual left and right deck, and there's a virtual crossfader, and there's virtual volumes. This doesn't give you that option. You can only prep stuff. You can put in your loops, you can put in your cue points, all of that, but there's no mixing functionality on this, But look, on the left-hand side, all my crates are there just exactly as they are in either or. Now, what I'm getting at is when you go to a venue, if you're not taking your own equipment, but you know that they've got like a Serato-enabled mixer there, which in theory you should be able to just plug a USB into and boom, right? That's not always the way. And I say this from personal experience. I'm the tech guy at Chip Shop. I'm the sound guy there. And I have seen seasoned DJs, people who should know better, turn up just assuming that they'll just plug in and it'll work. And it doesn't. Sometimes it might be a simple case of, depending on how up-to-date their software is and, how disciplined they are about keeping on top of it, you might plug it in and it will come up with, new hardware detected. Do you want to install the firmware? And you say yes, and as long as you've got an internet connection, it basically does the hard work for you. It just installs everything, you restart the computer, and it works. Yeah, that's not always true, though. sometimes it may not recognize the equipment that you've connected to it. So in that case, you have to manually yourself go into either the manufacturer's website and download some third-party firmware, or like in the case of Pioneer, like with this Pioneer mixer, you have to go onto their website, download some drivers, and this happens a lot. But there's also other little things that can catch you out. Hang on, I'm just going to move this back. So for example, the first time I used this Pioneer mixer was at Chip Shop. Shout out to my man DJ Dex. It was an HFM event, and he had bought his Pioneer Djm S9 along, and I was real excited to use it because I'd wanted to try this mixer out for ages. And prior to going down there, I had installed the hardware, I'd installed the software. I was in a good place. I thought, yeah, we're good to go. All I need to do is plug it in and we're off. Now, when I plugged it in, nothing happened. Didn't see my laptop, and it was crazy, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. I had a whole room full of DJs, and none of us could figure out what the problem is. I knew my laptop worked, I knew the mixer worked because someone else was using it. Like, a good thing about this mixer is it's actually got 2 USB ports on it. So while, say, I'm DJing and you want to come along and get ready, you can plug into the other USB and we hit a switch and you're over to the other deck. Small thing that I found out after the fact, because we was all panicking and rushing and trying to get it to happen. In the end, I ended up just not using my laptop. Like, shout out to my boy DJ Maintain. I think his laptop was plugged in at the time. I was like, yo, I'm only spinning for a minute. Like, it's just a little showcase. I'm just going to use the music off of your laptop and jump in and do it. What I found out later, the first time you connect a laptop to a Pioneer Djm S9, you have to turn the mixer off and then turn it on again. And during the power-up cycle of the mixer, it recognizes that there is a new laptop connected to it. And you only have to do that once. Once you've done that, you never have to do that again. You can just plug it in and it'll work. But that's just an example of what I was saying in terms of being prepared and knowing these little things and just making sure your software and hardware are going to integrate with each other. Now, that wasn't a major issue that day, but there have been events where it really came into play. We had the legendary Ice-T performing at Chip Shop, and when his DJ turned up, I'm not going to name the DJ's name, but I said to the DJ, like, this was early before the gig had started. I was like, yo, look, we've got the new Rain mixer, the new Rain 72. Have you got all the drivers installed on your laptop? And boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Now, look, my man's a pro. He's a famous DJ. So I had no reason to doubt him. But I did suggest, like, yo, while it's quiet, do you want to plug it in and just test? Nah, it's calm. And guess what happens? Ice-T, OG, legendary West Coast rapper Ice-T steps up to do his set. My man jumps on the decks, and what do you know? The laptop doesn't recognize the mixer doesn't recognize his laptop. The laptop doesn't recognize the hardware. And there was a good 20 minutes at least while we tried to figure this out. I've got Ice-T over here going raggo, losing it, like, what's going on, what's up with the technicals, kind of looking at me, and I'm like, talk to your boy, yeah, you know what I mean? And after trying so many different things, I ended up having to take the laptop off him, connecting to Chip Shop's Wi-Fi quickly, logged into Serato's website using my login and my ID and my password, downloading the drivers and the software. Imagine that, like, I'm in front of a room full of people and I'm doing that. Don't be that guy. Be prepared. Be aware of what you're using, both hardware-wise and software-wise. Because if you're not, you're going to pay the price for it further down the line. I mean, I learnt this the hard way. I've turned up at gigs back in the day expecting to be able to just plug in and play, and it didn't work. And I made a vow then. I was like, yo, never again. I'm never going to be that guy, right? I like to be on it. And these are little things that are going to help you as a DJ. If you turn up and you're having mad technical dramas and whatnot, the promoters are going to remember that. They're going to be like, oh man, he killed the vibe in the room. It took him half hour to get set up, or her. Shout out to my man James Acaster on the him or her, if you know about what I'm talking about. But yo, look, don't be that DJ. Be prepared. Be aware of the technical requirements. Be aware of the technical equipment, everything you're using, and be ready for that. And if you have to, go down early, plug it in and test it. Don't wait till it's your time to perform to find out it's not going to work, because that's just going to end in tears, So, couple of little things there. Like I say, the difference between Serato DJ Pro versus Scratch Live, the equipment that it works with. Now, we've spoke about phase before. Just a quick reminder of what phase does if you don't know. This record that I've got here on the turntable is it's what we call a time-coded signature Serato vinyl. Shout out to the homies over at Serato. And this comes with the software when you buy it. Comes with the mixer, or it comes with the hardware, whatever you've bought. And all that's on there is just a high-pitched frequency tone that sends a signal to the laptop so the laptop knows where it is in time and space kind of thing. Now, as I've said before, there's a lot of failure points in that whole process. The vinyl itself can get scratched or wear away. You might have a bad needle, you might have a bad cartridge, the cables that connect the cartridge to the arm, the connecting point in the arm itself might be mashed up. Internally, the cables might be broken. The cables going from your deck to your mixer might be broken. All these things happen all the time, and trust me, I've been through them all. Phase eliminates that whole process, because what it allows you to do, these gadgets are amazing. Basically, they've got gyroscopes in them. They magnetically attach to a little metal sticker that's on the vinyl. And once they're calibrated, they send a signal to your laptop, which is pristine. Yeah. And as long as you've got power to the turntables, it works. Right? You can adjust the pitch. You never have to put the needle on the record. It's not even looking at the record. It just needs to know if it's spinning or not, you know? And time is running out. It's 4 minutes to 5. So look, I feel like there's so much more that we could have been talking about that I haven't even got to yet. But we're going to keep this going. Like I say, you can find me here every Thursday afternoon, 4 till 5 p.m. trying to help you become a better DJ. Tips and tricks, just imparting my knowledge. Once again, if you can help us out by hitting up the new Soapbox YouTube channel, that is Soapbox Online. We would really appreciate it if you subscribe. We need at least 100 subscribers so we can get the custom URL. Once we've got the custom URL, then we can start advertising and putting in work, you know what I'm saying? But we've got a whole host of content going up on there. If you want to get involved in any of the sessions or workshops that we are offering, hit us up online. Soapbox Online, Soapbox Islington. On the website, on the Insta, you can see the full schedule. We've hooked up and partnered up with a bunch of other companies. One of the main ones is the Young Urban Arts Foundation. Check them both out. If you're a parent or a young person and you want to keep busy, you know what I mean, you want to learn some skills, now is the time to do it, and as I said before, you never know, you might be good at it, you might enjoy it, you might find something that you'd never even considered before, but you don't know until you try, right? So if you've got any specific questions, you can hit me up. I'm at DJ Shorty 79, and like I say, every Thursday 4 till 5, catch me right here. Just drop in knowledge. If there's any specific questions you want to ask, you can message me or get in touch with Soapbox. Go to the Soapbox Instagram, Soapbox Islington, at Soapbox Islington. Hit them up with a DM, and they will send you a link so that you can join us on the Zoom. And as I said, if you've got any specific questions relating to the equipment that you've got, or whether it's about techniques or different types of music, whatever it is, holler at me. I'm here to help. And over the coming weeks, we've covered a lot of the light stuff, DJing 101. We're going to step it up. Mark 2 starting next week, a little bit more complicated. We're going to really get into it with mixing and scratching techniques, all of that. Before I go, as always, please like and subscribe the YouTube channel. You don't have to. It'll be helping us out if you did. And follow us online at Soapbox Islington. Shout out to Young Urban Arts Official. Young Urban Arts, they are YUAF official, UAF, Young Urban Arts Foundation. We've got just under a minute and a half left to go before I bounce out here, so let's drop another beat and we'll have a little scratch over this. Once again, shout out to the homies over there at Chill Hop. Let's use the one that we were just messing around with. What was that one? That was this one. Yeah. All right, let's have a little beat juggle and then maybe a little scratch if we've got enough time before the clock runs out. Once again, shout out to everyone that's been getting involved. We've got a whole heap of stuff available, different workshops, different seminars. Hit up the website or follow us online for a full schedule. And I'll catch you next week. In the meantime, let's have a little mix, let's have a little scratch, a little beat juggle, you know what I mean? Until next time, peace.